part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvass, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvass was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13, 2022 in the area of the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects or suspect vehicles traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvass resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed the numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with other officers, and they go on to say that. A review of camera footage indicated, and this is where that white Hyundai Elantra comes into play. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. At this point, they didn't know it was the vehicle that we now know, the white Hyundai Elantra. This is how they first were able to identify it. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. Remember the timeline of when they think these murders occurred. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Again, this is also important because remember, he is charged with first-degree murder. There is a level of premeditation and planning to this. Keep this in mind as we hear all of this. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood, that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame. I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Conestoga Drive. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. We've talked about this before when he was ultimately apprehended, the connection, the geographical distance between his university and where these murders occurred. I'm going to continue on. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the FBI that regularly utilizes surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of these unknown vehicles. The forensics examiner, and they go into the forensics examiner's background and experience. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensics examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra, but upon further review, he indicated it could also be a 2011-2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle of this type. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University WSU campus. This is how they were able to connect the car to Kohberger. If we have some more time, I'd like to get into it before we take our break. So let me do this real quick. Okay, so we're not going to take breaks. I'm going to continue to go forward with this. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Hyundai Elantra known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. At approximately 2:53 a.m., this is again before the murders, a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra, known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington, towards SR 270. SR 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. The camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The FBI forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington as being a 2014-2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25 a.m., this is after the killings, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on the WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. I mentioned those streets before. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on SR 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street. They go on to talk a little bit more about where it goes. They provided a map showing what the campus looks like and kind of what the area looks like. They go on to say on November 25th, 2022, MPD, Moscow Police Department, asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras on the area. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University police officer Daniel Tiengo queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate, LFZ 8649. This vehicle was registered to Bryan Kohberger, and he resides at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201, Pullman, Washington. You have just seen how they were able to link the car to the defendant. The same day, at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at 1630 Northeast Valley Road in Pullman in the parking lot. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car and returned it back to Kohberger with a Washington tag. This is where now you're going to see how they matched up the description from one of the roommates to the license. I reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver license information and photograph. This license indicates that Kohberger is a white male with a height of 6 feet and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows, which again is what was indicated by one of the surviving roommates. Kohberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male DM, DM, again, the pseudonym used for one of the surviving roommates, saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including review of Lake County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke's body cam and reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, so this is months before this happened, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho. This was by Corporal Duke. At the time, Kohberger, who was the sole occupant in the car, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFZ 8649, the one I just mentioned. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body camera, Kohberger provided his phone number, and then they don't actually list the phone number, they redact that. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the phone is a number issued by AT&T. Now, so from now on, his phone is going to be identified as 8458 phone, 8458 phone. On October 14th, 2022, again before the killings, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by a WSU police officer. Upon review of the body cam and report of the stop, Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving, again, the white 2015 Hyundai Elantra. On November 18th, this is after the killings, according to Washington State licensing, Kohberger then registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington, and it later received a new plate of CFB 8708. That's because the license was about to expire. Prior to this time, the 2015 Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. Based on my own experience in communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 5, 2022 by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. On December 16th, at approximately 2:26 p.m. surveillance video showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Kohberger, and I went through this already, where they went into his background and how he did that Reddit survey. Now let's go into the cell phone data. The cell phone data is always critical. So as part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular data devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13, 2022 between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Anybody who follows the Law&Crime network knows cell phone data can track someone's location in pivotal points at important times. So what did it show here? This is interesting. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the phone in these returns did not show the phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. So the cell phone data doesn't show that he was there or was using that phone near the residence. But that is only part of the story. Based on my training experience and conversation with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular telephone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime.